Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Williamson with the Lotus Broadcast. I'm normally behind the camera, but right now you're going to see me in front of the camera. Here I have Will. Will, please introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm William Pride. I'm also a realtor, and if you want to contact me, it's William at Pride in Real Estate. I've been in Arizona for about 15 years. Been in the business since 1991, 92.
Great, Will. Well, Will and I met at a Diamond Nexus event, and it's fantastic. And we're at the location, and we were doing another project, and I said, Will, let's take this to the next level. Now, here's the beautiful part. We're both residential real estate agents in Arizona. And what we're going to do is chop it up a little bit, not too heavy, but we want to give you guys something that is a problem or around the corner, that kind of thing. Now, we've seen all the tariffs come in, right?
Of course.
And we've seen a lot of volatility in the market.
Of course.
So people are looking at the market going,
which way do I go?
Up, down, left, right.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
And then the second thing they look at is the value of their home.
Correct.
Okay. And they see that in some parts of the region,
right,
there's a problem.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
In other words, prices were here.
Yeah.
They're starting to
slowly starting to take prices off to repopulate it on Zillow.
Right.
That's usually a 500 fluctuation.
Right.
Now it's 20,000, 30,000, 10,000.
Sure.
So it's like kind of all over the place.
Correct. So it's hard to find what the numbers are. So
Right.
you have to be careful and serious about getting a licensed professional to help you understand what the history was. You can't just go to one website, Zillow,
Correct.
and then figure out like, oh, I understand the market.
Right.
That is not true.
Correct.
Okay. And as professionals, anything that we say to you is not legal advice. This is for educational purposes only. But at the end of the day, we know what we're talking about.
98%.
Sure.
To a certain degree.
you have a long history in real estate.
Yes.
I have a kind of a shorter situation. But at the end of the day, we're active. We're involved.
Correct.
I'm a very, very part-timer. I do a lead generation angle to
Right.
real estate. And you
network because of the years.
Sure.
So,
absolutely.
And people, since I'm from California, obviously.
So let's jump to that.
Yes.
You brought up a good point.
Okay.
All right. So we see a lot of migration.
Right.
We are Maricopa County is the number one fastest growing county in the country. County. Now, we're that big and we grow that fast. With that knowledge, people are always asking me, well, what's the best part of the county?
Right.
And I say we are in migration mode right now. A lot of people are coming into our communities and they have money.
Correct.
And where do you think they're coming from?
Unfortunately, it would be coming from California, where I came from. I just came a little bit earlier.
Well, if they're coming from California, they are on paper millionaires.
Correct.
Okay. They sold their property. They had it for a gazillion years.
Correct. And then the people here that are retaining or are getting that appreciation value, they're moving up north.
Okay.
So that's why Payson now is so expensive.
So we have a migration from Cali.
Correct.
And a migration in our state.
Correct.
North. You don't know where Payson is.
Correct.
It is up north-ish.
45, 50 minutes roughly.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, I like Payson actually.
Payson is cool.
I love Payson. I wanted to get something up there, but now they're kind of.
Now, if you'd like to move to Payson, contact one of us.
Absolutely.
And we'll help you with a local agent.
Yes, of course.
Because that's a long drive to go all the way to Payson.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think we could split it.
Okay.
Or something. You do the driving.
I'm not driving.
Okay, fine. And then
we'll figure it out.
And then the lower end of people that are here that missed the wave.
Yes.
So they're going to Coolidge.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Okay, so let's explain migration.
Okay.
Migration paths are really straightforward. It's all about the location. I'm sorry to say it, but it's all about location.
Location.
Anyone that is familiar with Maricopa County used to say, way out west.
Correct.
Used to be Avondale, Litchfield Park.
I remember.
Right? That was way out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then from that, it jumped to
Coolidge. Yes.
There's another spot that it jumped
It's one more I forgot. Grand something. Come on. It's right by Coolidge. It's how can we forget that? Casa Grande.
Yes. Okay, that's out there too.
Correct.
Okay, little drive.
Correct.
You're okay. Fuel efficient vehicle.
Correct. The only mistake I made, if you're going to buy something in a desolate area, right? What you would want to do is look at the 10-year plan.
Yes.
Because if I would have done that with Avondale, my child's mom She got 100 houses in Avondale in 2005 because it was only $1,000 down.
Right.
And they had a Nina, no income, no asset, but you have to have an 800 credit score.
Products were great.
Kind of. We used to call it, yeah, that was a good one, but the 800 credit score is what made it make sense.
Okay.
But then the stated loans is what crashed the market. We used to call them liar loans. Okay, yeah. Oh, you know that.
Did you hear that? Liar loans.
Yes.
I did mortgages like you.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, that's why.
I came from mortgages into
correct.
real estate.
That's why we're probably part-time with the real estate side because we've been in it for so long.
And I am playing in the commercial lending side now.
Got you.
Okay.
Well, the thing there is that my personal opinion, if you're going to go anywhere, just get the 10-year plan, because if I would have done that for Avondale, it was a two-way highway or four lane, whatever the case was. It was horrible.
It was terrible.
It was horrible. And then Buckeye.
Yes.
I moved
to Buckeye when I first got here.
Good. Because the houses there were like 150,000, 200.
When I say cheap, you're going like
6,000 square feet.
I came from Chicago.
Yes.
What's that? Is that $1,500 a month? No, they're like, that's the tax bill.
Correct. That's
for the year.
That's the other flip side to the property values appreciating. The taxes are also going to appreciate as well. But I don't think there's going to be a crash. But
we're going to differ.
Yeah, I don't want to say that and scare people. But
no, we're not scaring you.
Yeah.
When we say crash, there is going to be a significant decline.
Correct.
Okay, that's a different in crash.
Okay.
Significant decline.
Okay.
And now I'm going to bring to you why I feel is a significant decline.
Is it tomato, or this has value?
Tomato.
Okay.
You know what that means, folks?
It's
do. Eric's opinion only.
Okay, fine. Fair enough.
But the trend, I'm going with trendy,
Right.
Like people could say bell bottoms are going to come back.
My mom said it. Yeah, she said everything goes around in a circle.
It does go around,
so stop talking so much.
Classical music is
just
going to come back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
EDM, hip hop.
Correct.
Old school. It's all coming back.
Correct.
Okay.
The remakes.
Right. So let's think about this in our market. The influx of individuals who come from California.
Yes.
We have a location issue in our Maricopa because we rely on developers to create the new levels of infrastructure.
To develop.
Yes.
Okay.
If the cities are not broke and can't develop, they're not going to attract developers.
Correct.
Because they're going to go like, oh, commercial next to that. I can't have a master community like that. We had that before.
Right.
Let's look at Buckeye.
Right.
Let's look at
Queen Creek.
Yeah. Queen Creek did it.
Yeah. But Casa Grande, like those are the places right now where you can still find something for 200.
Yeah.
And it has a possibility of going to 500 after.
But it may be next to a park, mobile park.
Correct. That's
because the location.
Yes.
Now I'm expressing the difference.
I got it.
These locations are not built like master communities.
Right.
And the developer goes, why should I go there?
Correct. But there's no choice because there's demand.
Land.
And they need
demand in the land, right?
Correct.
Okay. Let's talk about Whitman. What do you think?
I went there a long time ago. I got to call her too. I had I went there and it was a good town, right? I liked it, but it's up north.
Yeah.
And they wanted to. I was going to take pictures of the land, but it was a church and had a tree in the front, and so I kept driving because.
Could Whitman be Buckeye?
I see where you're going with that, and you just went past my joke, but it wasn't a joke.
Sorry.
But it was okay because I don't think anyone's going to get it. But tough call. I think the weather's good. What's the top max? That's what I look at. How hot is it going to get? Like Payson's 95.
It'll
so never get past triple digits.
Nah, well, it's just as hot. Whitman is just as hot.
Again, we would have to look at what the future development is. There going to be another freeway that's going to connect it? Like Casa Grande, they're probably going to have another freeway that's going to.
The only thing that saved Buckeye was I-10.
Right.
Am I right?
Of course, 100%.
That infrastructure that drove right through it.
Of course.
They said.
And then the 202 looped everyone around.
It did.
And that's what made it a good spot.
Whitman is not going to be the spot because of traffic and infrastructure.
Correct.
There's only one road that goes up to Whitman.
Unless there's a train.
And train?
Well, that can shoot. Like if I worked in Whitman or say I worked in downtown Phoenix, because how far is that away? 2 hours?
What,
Whitman? Yeah.
About an hour and a half.
Okay, so then
I'm on the West Valley, so I'm going from that.
Got it. But how long would a train take to get there? If hypothetical.
I don't think they could build it.
Why?
It's federal. It'll take 40 years or something like that.
40 years?
Mm-hmm. Look at how long it took to get the 202 with reservation.
Got it. Okay. Apparently you know it. Well, if you have kids, then your great grandkid
Could enjoy Whitman.
can enjoy Whitman and how powerful your brain was with insight.
So remember, we said we're going to bring about in investment.
Of course.
Okay. We're not telling you that this is for educational purposes only.
Right.
Okay. I feel that the key to investment today,
Okay.
with the decline, we're going to see that people are going to have bad situations.
Okay.
And they're going to need solutions.
Correct.
Okay. Here's the problem. You're going to have equity in your house.
Right.
And you're going to try to sell it. Right. You're going to try to sell it for the most money. And they won't be able to be successful because their house is not updated.
Modern.
Yes.
Okay.
And statistically, modern buyers want fixed up properties.
110. Yeah, I have that problem all the time because they call me back and go, it's outdated. And I'm just like,
yeah,
everything's negotiable.
Right.
And there may be some wiggle room in there because that's part of the negotiation, but it's really outdated.
It's outdated.
And I showed another client a home last weekend, and it was because it was $800,000, and we looked
and
at
that
a
could
bunch
be outdated too, everyone.
Well, here's the thing: people think they're buying an $800,000 house, but when we first walked in, 5 foot in is you have your stairway. So I told her
8 stairs, right?
Correct. So I told her you got to understand you're not buying an $800,000 house. You're buying a $100,000 house from 2005 that was sold for $200,000.
Right.
So if you're going to buy anything those will be the first houses that'll drop probably more because of the feng shui.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
if you're going to buy something for $800,000, just make sure it's like open, maybe a foyer or something,
Right.
something that'll maintain.
Modern.
Okay.
It has to be modern.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we don't have enough modern product,
Right.
and people are transferring in, Houston, we have a problem. And I'm going to say the best method of investment today is you find the money.
Okay.
You find the seller who's distressed. You come to real estate professionals and say, I want to see DOM, days on market,
Correct.
over 120 days.
Correct.
We give you a list, and now we start working from that list to do one thing. We want to go to the sellers and say, we can make an offer or we can do a buy flip.
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Flip this way. If we help them find sellers
Okay.
that just don't fit our criteria for profit,
Okay.
for I can't pay everything because I'm upside down.
Got you.
Okay.
Of course.
We could be your arms to say, we want to go into those sellers and say, we will together fix your house and flip it.
Right. Of course. I actually came up with something like that a while back, but I never followed through. So that's interesting you're saying that.
Sure.
Yeah. It was called Let's Flip Together.
Let's flip together.
I think I still have the .com. I don't remember, but that was the basis of it.
You want to explain your half of it, and I'll explain my half.
My half from back then was basically what you were saying. I was going to partner up with different contractors to a certain degree, not too far in, but semi-modern, not $200,000 modern.
Right.
And then we pay them out of title.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say? Because
Right.
a lot of builders, sometimes they have excess stuff that's left over from like Open Door because they take out brand new appliances. Where do those appliances go? They usually go to the local auction.com or something.
Right.
So if you can partner with them, like Granite, I have a bunch of Granite guys, right?
Right.
So they have extra slabs.
Right.
So if you could maneuver something with them where it's still top quality,
Right.
obviously, and then have them put it into the contract that when the house is sold, I mean, everything's a gamble.
Okay.
That's why you don't want to go $100,000 project. But
Right.
if it's $10,000 technically for them, then we know the fixed cost is a little bit lower because of the Keystone effect, right?
Right.
So we're not going to be too far in. And then your buyer, they don't get a foreclosure, obviously.
Correct. That's the most
So
important.
they live to fight again.
Correct. And those of you that are struggling today, you need to call us. You do
Absolutely.
not want to get a foreclosure.
Correct.
Ever, ever, never.
Correct. There's ways to make it fit as long as everyone's working on the same page. Meaning you can also do a lease option, a 2-year or 3-year. And
That's after you come out.
correct.
Right.
Correct. And if we don't contractually perform, in 2 years, and technically you get the house back.
Right.
So there's a benefit possibly for both sides.
Correct.
But the benefit for us obviously would be to get some sort of monies for our work, right?
Correct.
And save them from having a foreclosure, because sometimes people go through divorce or they may lose their job. Things happen, right? So it gives you an opportunity to redeem yourself later on.
Correct.
And not have that on your credit.
Correct.
And then here's the best part. So say if
you're throwing bars right now. That's good.
You're supposed to, if you're going to not target, because that's a bad word, but you could pull, homes from say 2021. Right. Because the property values at that time were only 300,000. Now they're 500,000. So you would negotiate the deal saying, "Hey, I'll buy this house from you in 2 years for I said 500,000. They got it for 250. Say 350,000 or three. Yeah, I like 350. He said three.
3.25.
I'm good. Yes, of course.
Good negotiation. We're done.
Correct. So it's a win-win for everyone, because if you don't perform, obviously they get the house back. But if you do perform, then you have that 100 grand. A lot of people out there that I know, they do it a little bit different, not telling their secrets or anything, but that's what they do. They look for homes that, when 2%, 3%, that are in pre-foreclosure.
Correct.
And then they call them up. Yeah. Is that too much information?
Let's dive into that.
Okay.
You have a 3% loan.
Correct.
And what he's explaining is you can keep the 3% loan.
Correct.
And do a wraparound mortgage.
Correct.
Where you leave the property, a new buyer comes in and says, "Hey, in a certain amount of time, you're going to buy me out."
Correct.
Okay. Now, you could, in perpetuity, keep the property and you become the bank with this wraparound mortgage, because
it's real technical. So you may want to have an attorney look at it, but no, you're absolutely, we just have to say that, right? Yeah. You're absolutely right. But the only that every mortgage has an acceleration clause.
Yeah.
So that's it. Correct.
If it's caught.
So that's
just like they have speeding laws, and if you get caught.
Correct. So the best way to do it is under lease option, because that's totally legal, right? To a certain degree. It's 100%.
But they're not on title. Correct.
That's where it gets weird at. But
we could file title.
Correct.
And then don't execute it.
Right. See, that's when it starts going down that weird trail.
Right. But we're back to, will it accelerate? And in title, you don't own it.
Correct. No, I mean, that's what everyone's doing right now. There's a lot of multimillionaires that I know personally. That's what they've been doing for the last 5 years.
Right.
But they have it. I mean, let's be honest, right? Most things happen because people come up with an idea. They go pay $20,000 to give it to an attorney, and they say, "Can you legally do this?" And the attorney looks to see what the laws are.
Right.
And there's a loophole.
Yes.
So those people that are like that get rich.
Right.
And then by the time it comes down to other people, then it's illegal.
Yeah.
Or there's something weird. So you have to stay. Yeah, that's why they say, show me your 5 friends, I'll show you your net worth.
Correct.
You see, so if you got 5 millionaires, they're going to continue to be a millionaire because they have the ability to look an insight of those, no matter what it is, But
we may be encouraging some new entrepreneurs.
Well, yeah,
that will take this idea and go, let me figure out how to make it legit.
Well, that's why I say that, not to scare them, but just know, you always want to contact an attorney or real estate, so that way everything's across the board. Legit.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, last thing, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
I hope you've enjoyed what we've said so far. Again, how do they get in touch with you?
William Pride. Email is william@pride, PRID, like pride and joy, NIN, realestate.com.
Perfect.
And I'm a good negotiator.
He's great.
Yeah.
You should use him. Okay.
I left my dress shirt somewhere else.
And all of you real estate professionals,
yes,
you need to reach out to me because you need help with media, advertising, promotion, and marketing. 480-878-1919. Link is in the description.
Fair enough.
Okay, so we're going to close out.
Okay.
What would you tell your younger person from now to the younger self of you?
Wow.
What would you tell them?
Okay. Well, that's weird. First of all, I guess I would have to give the little guy a hug and tell him it's going to be okay.
You went in Back to the Future. You transported, and now
back to my younger self.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to hug him.
You got to hug him
and just tell him, hey, you got to follow me on this because
how do I look?
How do I look? Yeah. Have I been taking care of myself? What do you think? Am I doing a good job with us?
Right.
You get it? But no, honestly,
your eyes are gonna get,
honestly, I mean, I can't say blessed and highly favored, but when you look back, I see where my higher power, God, kind of. It's people that are around you that you don't pay attention to. So if I was younger again, I would pay more attention, meaning I had twins back then. I was going through a divorce and was paying like $2,500 a month in child support at in 91, 92.
Yeah. I was up there.
Okay, yeah. And the judge was like, is this right? Because the other guy before me was like 175, $100. I'm what, 20, 21, 22, 25. I was at 33,000 by March. So they obviously, but with that being said, I met two guys. I was telling this guy at Bank of America because I was a financial relationship manager. Remember that? The FRM with HELOCs. And I did all that. From the root. I was trying to get my Series 7, but I needed the Series 663 or was it 63s?
63.
63. I comprehended it real good, but you see where I'm going with this? So it was one guy outside and he's like, hey man, you need to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Tasaka.
I didn't read it.
Uh-oh.
You see? Because I had the child support and my brain was a little off.
Gotta catch the cheese.
Correct. So, and then the second thing, my buddy, James Conroy, he's a good dude. So he's the one that got me in it. Okay. And I put all my friends in it. There's probably about 50 of them that are way more successful. I'm the guy that tells people how to be successful. Yeah. Because my brain is big enough to understand that 70 years or 100 years here personally is not really that long.
Right.
You get what I mean? So you gotta kind of keep your balance because you can get everything you want, but for what?
Right.
A lot of people do a lot of different things to get it, and then their kids completely waste it.
Sure.
So then you just had a interesting life for nothing.
Right.
So, you see, so you got to be careful with that. But I say that to say this. He told me, he goes, well, how much money you want to make? And I said, what? But first of all, I was kicking butt. Like he used to come in, he had a Mercedes and he's singing Snoop Dogg. He used to come in like, what's up? But I had all my friends from LA working there. Right. And I was like, Jim, you can't talk to these guys like that. And he's like, what?
Let me school you, Jim.
Yeah. Because he was like, what's up, BB? With the B word and stuff. And everybody's like, hey, man, But then they heard me on the phone and they're like, why do you talk like that? I'm like, talk like what? I talk like I got some sense, right? So we made him very successful. But he told me, he goes, how much money do you want to make? And I said, I don't know. He goes, well, you want to make 10 grand a month? I said, yeah. He goes, well, get 10 houses. Mm-hmm. You may make a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there. But he said, I guarantee you in 20 to 30 years, they're going to be worth either 500,000 or $1 million. And I wasn't listening. And now when I look back, I'm like, so I see the system. Yeah. And so now technically everyone's supposed to get out of Arizona and move to New Mexico because we're missing the boat. Right. But then Bill Gates and China's like, let's stop this right here. We're going to buy the middle. Yeah. And we're going to grow some food that we're going to feed them. But that's another story.
And they will be successful in that. In growing food.
Okay, good food or?
No. Oh. It will be looking good.
Okay, looking good. Okay, yeah, aesthetically looking. What about your stomach?
No, they don't care.
Okay, fine.
Right, but we don't make our own food.
I grew up on a farm on 80 acres. We clearly made our own food.
I didn't mean it like that. Okay. I meant as a society, we don't care what the food is, so we don't make it. We let companies, corporations put additives into the food, and we don't care.
Got it.
So we don't make the food.
Got it.
We have growers that give it to someone else that manipulates the food, and Bill and his team want to be in the manipulation game.
Got you.
Okay.
Got you.
That's horrible. At me sideways.
Well, no, I those are big guys. I don't like big guys. I have nothing to say about.
Okay, so let me participate. Let me participate. Okay, what I would tell my younger self.
Tim.
Okay, my turn.
Okay.
All right.
No. I'm saying you talk about Tim, not me. Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay, fine.
Okay. So if I was with my younger self.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
With my younger self, I would say, younger self, you need to hang out with the right people because you are who you hang out with.
Of course.
Okay. And that will translate to what you said. Invest in real estate as young as you can.
Right.
I'm the guy that later in life bought one of those online
courses.
Yeah. Okay. Online courses, sat on it, then finally read it 3 years later.
Right.
And then executed 2 years after that. I bought a house.
Okay.
On paper.
Right.
Seller financing.
Good.
With the option to buy.
Okay.
Just like you described.
Yep.
And let me tell you this, when the seller first observed my number,
okay,
that I said, I'll pay you this in a few years.
Right.
He was like, yes, we got a deal. When I was at the closing table, he was like, oh my God, you took advantage.
Were you a realtor?
Yeah. No.
Okay, good.
I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't licensed.
Okay.
But he says, if I wouldn't have done this deal, I'm giving you all that value.
Right.
The housing market moved.
Right.
He wasn't forward thinking around the corner.
Of course.
And I gambled and I won.
A good gamble?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's the business.
But I bought the house in 2 years in the option time in 2 years.
Right. On a contractual agreement.
Correct.
So there's nothing.
And I will tell you, my lender was like, this is the house we're buying?
Yes.
At this price? And I said, yep, it's already contracted.
Keys. Okay.
And I live in it.
Was he under duress or anything? Or
no.
He
was greed.
Okay.
So,
did he buy a long time ago though for like 50, 60,000?
Probably.
Okay.
So he was like, this is good. I'm good. This is going to be
Some
great.
people like that. Was it older, younger?
It was an older guy.
But I'm saying if they got it for 50, then in his head, probably just threw a number out there without doing research to a certain degree, but it was comfortable with him,
Correct.
Which makes it legal, right? Because he didn't do his own due diligence.
He didn't reject it, and then I had to
right,
sue
and he
him
wasn't drunk or anything like that while you guys were talking about the paperwork.
No.
Okay.
No. He got his rent on time. He was happy with everything, and I said, "Hey, in 4 months I'm gonna buy it." And he's like, "Okay."
Right.
Oh yeah, we got to pull out that paper, like you said.
Right, but if I bought something for 50,000, just use that as a round number in 1970, 60, early 80s, whatever, and then some guy called me up and said, "Hey, I want to buy your house." I'm going to make a big guess because for me, it's like I won some type of lotto, right? So I'm going to say 300,000, but I'm comfortable with that. Now, if it was worth 500, am I going to ding myself in the head a little bit? But I still have 300. And that's another thing. If you're contracting any types of deals, make sure your client is not under duress or any type of thing, because those contracts are null and void.
We're sharing now.
Okay.
What I did with the deal was I took the ugliest house that was on the block, went to the owner and said, "Hey, I'd like to rent it from you."
Oh yeah.
And I gave him the price on paper, what it would be, all tricked out, finished,
ARV,
everything.
After repair value.
Yeah, this is gonna look.
Oh, you showed him that?
No.
Okay.
I told him.
Yeah.
This is how I calculated.
Of course.
And I'm going to give you $20,000 more.
Got it.
To accept my agreement now.
Right. Absolutely.
And he goes, okay.
Well, again, it's a distressed property, right?
Yeah.
So how can you dictate the value on that because you haven't done any work? So you get what I'm trying to say.
That was how I was placating to him.
Right. Exactly.
If I'm just an eternal renter, you have nothing to lose.
Correct. I got it. So I know that's a good.
So the point is, there's education out there. You just have to execute and make the best out of what is lemons to lemonade. Correct.
And search YouTube. I mean, I'm always on there looking at even with the tests and stuff like that. Like I have Real Estate for Dummies. I'm always staying current.
Exactly.
Just
you need to do that.
Yeah. Because
one more thing I would tell my younger self: get into real estate now. Don't wait later.
Right. Now I should have been a realtor then, but I was a loan originator. I was still making probably $7-8 a deal back then.
Oh yeah.
So it was doing 2 or 4, 3 of those a month. Hence the child support.
Right.
I tell my younger self too. I can't say that because I love my kids. But if I whispered, maybe I'd be like, just wait. Yeah. They may not look the same, but it's kind of the same. Right. So you just got to be careful and watch. Watch what you do. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you enjoyed what we did together, Will and I. We'll do it again sometime, right?
Absolutely.
This was fun for me, fun for Will, right?
Absolutely.
Again, how'd they get in touch with you?
William, Pride. You can email me at william@prideinrealestate.com, like pride and joy. So prideinrealestate.com.
Okay. Link will be below. And if you're a licensed professional and you need help with marketing, promotion, advertising, media, I'm your connect. I'm your plug. 480-878-1919. Will, thanks a lot.
You're welcome,
Appreciate you.
No problem.
All right. That's it for the Lotus broadcast. We'll see you next time.